nothing more busy than coloring books. Thor and Loki coloring books. This is what I've been doing for the last 45 minutes this took me. That's very bad. There are much more creative and better children out there who could have nailed that in 10. I was like, I've got to get it in the lines, and I had to look up. I was like, all right, hold on. Canonically, what color's Loki's outfit during this period? So I went to go look that up because they don't tell you. It's only Thor. That's when I realized I'm the biggest nerd that ever lived. And I was like, oh, God, I'm online looking this stuff up. So, enough of that. What I wanted to sort of have during this panel, this discussion, is a talk about the process of continually pushing forward. And if you love something or you have your heart set on something, never, ever, ever, ever giving up on it. Even if it seems insane to keep going, totally do it. Like I said, years and years and years and years ago, during my college days, I was involved in making videos, and they exist online. They're not mine. I don't own them, but someone else stole them and reposted them on YouTube. And so I made videos. I loved making videos. I had fun editing and creating things. And then the conversation I had with my parents went along the lines of like, how about you get a real job and get a real degree? And I was like, okay. So I I wouldn't even imagine this to be a real degree either. I think my parents and I settled on the fact that I would double major in history and English, which still gets you nothing. At the end of the day, you're like a dramatic librarian. That's your job prospects. It's not good. But that's what we settled on, and I went to school for that. And at the end of the day, I still liked doing weird voices and making videos and all that kind of stuff, but went into teaching. And so I taught, and that was crazy. I taught just down the road, and that was an insane experience. But in 2009, 2010, when the entire country was like in the recession and everything was pretty crappy, they just like canned all of us. And so I had nothing to do. And I was like, okay, well, what do I do now? So I moved back in with my parents, and I started just making videos for fun because that's what I knew to do, and that's what I loved. And then at a certain point, a young British man by the name of Total Biscuit messaged me and was like, oh, do you want to go and make videos for money? And I was like, hell yeah, I do. And now I'm here. Now I'm back 7 years later, and this is my job, which is crazy. But it's one of those things that I just love to do, and I kept doing. And even though there were times in my life where it didn't necessarily work out right then, still having a passion for doing something and still following through with it eventually pays off. So just like keep doing whatever it is you're doing, because that's in the end, it will work. It might not seem like it, but trust me, as poet laureate and philosopher John Cougar Mellencamp once said, life is a highway. I hope to God he said that. That's his song, right? Am I that old? Help me out here, anyone. Life is a highway. I want to ride it all night long. Yeah, all right. John Cougar Mellencamp. Good. Yeah, but it's I guess less of a highway, more of a roller coaster. But whatever, it doesn't matter. The point being that wherever you start out, wherever you're at today in your life, trust me, 10 years from now, you will not be in the same place. It'll be a weird experience. You'll look back and be like, what just happened? Where was I? And why am I here now? And I will simply say, just go with it. Just jump on board and take the ride, and it'll be crazy and weird and fun, but you'll love it. And at the end of the day, hopefully you will have learned a thing or two along the way. How many people here right now are interested in some sort of aspect? Like why are you here at GDEX? Are you here to like show off a game, or to like, I don't know, learn something, a skill, or to, yeah, hey.
I'm here to like networking and just generally having fun and seeing stuff about the game development industry.
What's your goal? What do you want to get out of it? Besides the networking and seeing all that.
Learn as much as I possible from like the various speakers and any tips and tricks.
5 years from now, where do you see yourself?
Hopefully, a game developer actually with a couple finished projects under my belt and actually making money.
Pitch me a game idea. Go.
Water elemental where you have to switch states between gas, liquid, and solid, and you have to do that to solve puzzles. I'm actually working on that.
What's its name? Go.
James.
James the Water Elemental? Work in progress. All right, I see. Okay. Good. No, so you want to create this. It's already in the process, you said, yeah? Okay, and you want to create this because why? It's your dream to make a water elemental game, or?
It's more my dream to just make games and to create like that in general. This is just one idea that came to head to my mind one day.
Cool. And this is something that you're really passionate about, yes? Cool. And what this weekend is your number one goal? Besides, like networking and all that stuff, that's a general goal. But what's like the number one thing you want to achieve? This weekend. Besides being here right now, obviously.
I don't think I have a number one goal in particular.
Okay.
Besides learn as much as possible, like I said.
Well, is there anything you want to learn in particular? Is there any sort of skill in creation that you want to learn? Gotcha. Okay, here's my first tip. Make that water elemental super sexy. Done. Nailed. That's how you sell a game. Put it on the box art. Give her a British accent. I'm just giving you tips. Make her Laura Croft. I don't know. You'll sell some games. No, new one. No, actually, old triangle boob Laura Croft. Yeah, that's the one. Anyone else here for a particular reason? For any sort of non... Oh, yeah? I was going to say non-game development related reason. But if you're here for a game development, hit me.
I'm here to learn as many skills as I possibly can. I want to work in lead design.
Okay.
Production, so I want to learn little bits of everything so I know where everyone is, and so that I can move forward with everything.
Okay.
I'm not great at doing things like programming and art, but I'm really good at broad strokes. Like I know the general idea, I can prototype, I can get stuff done fast. So I want to try and work on building up all of those skills.
Well, it's definitely one of those places you're going to learn that, but also I think what's interesting is the aspect of time and just doing stuff over and over again, right? I think a lot of people, it's that old stupid meme of like the iceberg, right? And it's like you only see the top part, but underneath is all this other stuff, and then they put like hard work and discipline and dedication. It's literally what it is, though, right? It's a stupid meme, but it's true, and it's the idea that God in 2000, it's crazy to me. In 2001, I was making like really bad videos, not entertaining, not good, crappy videos. And I didn't really know what I was doing, and I just sort of learned trial by error by trial and error. One of those, I got through that sentence the exact same way that I was describing. Thank you. And you just kind of have to keep at it and keep doing it, and as you work at it over time, you learn little tricks and you learn new things. I'm still learning stuff. One of the things I learned the other day is how to make it look like someone was getting hit by a car. Don't ask. It's a fundamental skill to have, where now I know how to make it so a car can be driving this way and then a person can ragdoll into the car and like fly off the screen. It's great. I had to, these are skills that you really need in life. I had yesterday, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, to go through a video that had a considerable amount of nudity in it and make it so the blur tracked with what was going on. Took like 5 hours. It was terrible. But then someone came in and was like, why don't you just use this feature that's already built in that like does it for you? And I learned. And so I went in and now there's a thing. The problem is that it tracked the light. There was a light and then some nudity, but it tracked the light in the scene. And so every so often, like, you just see some stuff. I was like, well, this isn't going to fly. So I had to go back and redo it again. And then eventually I just became desensitized to everything and I missed some stuff and was like, oh, well, that's just a ding dong over there. Like, how did I miss that? Yeah, but it's those skills that if you just keep doing stuff and keep learning, and you said you want to have like a wide repertoire of stuff, just keep doing it and keep finding people to work with. And the more people you have to work with, and the more people that you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to learn this from this guy and this from this guy and this from this girl, and we're going to, like, in the end, come away with a bunch of stuff. It's kind of what it is, but it just takes time. It's one of those things that you're not going to learn immediately. You just have to keep doing. But what's your goal 5 years from now? What's your goal?
My goal 5 years from now is to at least have one game developed on an indie scale and then to be working with a AAA company.
What's your game about? Go, pitch me.
So the one I currently have working on?
No, your 5-year game.
5-year game? A stealth game that's about being spied. Actually about being spied, like 007 style.
And is your spy, hold on, I'm out to make dreams come true, a water elemental? Do you want it to be, wink, a water elemental? Who looks like Laura Croft? Oh, please, obviously, because she's made of water. That's, name James? James, we're making dreams come true here today. You're welcome. We just workshopped the best game in the history of games. We're going to get more. We're going to get more information about this water elemental spy named James Bond who looks like 1994 Lara Croft. Cool. This is going to be the greatest game. I wish you guys the best luck with it. Yeah, is anyone here for like non-game dev reasons? Just to chill, just to learn stuff. Yo, what's up?
I'm trying to learn about business of games.
Okay, like what side? Like the selling of, the promotion of?
Unique as a business.
Okay. And like what do you want to get out of that? What's your goal?
I'm an economist.
I'm sorry, what?
I study business models.
I understand what an economist is. I've never met an economist. Wait, what? I'm an economist. Go on.
I study media economics, and games is a media.
I mean, okay, yeah, I get that, but on a day-to-day basis, what do you do?
I sit and kill trees by subsidizing the paper industry. I write math models.
I feel like you're being elusive here. What do you do, though? What do those math models do exactly?
Well, like right now I'm trying to describe the business model of steam mathematically.
All right, anyone else? Okay, so you wanna businessize something with math and the future.
Learn what makes games.
Can you get us to the moon again? Well, then you're useless. I don't know. All right, so your goal from all of this then is to do what? Like, what is the one thing you want to take away?
Learn how business of games works. Is it different from other businesses, and if so, how?
Do you have any questions regarding that? Can I help you? Can I enlighten you into the world of business and gaming?
Still trying to figure out what questions to ask.
Really? All right. Well, what is on your mind? Let's peer into your mathematical brain.
How do you feel about Steam Direct? Has that made it, like the introduction of Steam Direct and their algorithms, has that made it easier or harder for you to find games to try and publicize?
I currently think Steam is making it harder to find games, honestly. There's times where I will go and be like, what's new? And I'll see 6 or 7 games, and then I'll go to click next to see what other games there are, and I'll end up at like a different area with stuff that I'm like, well, this has been out for weeks. This isn't right. What's going on? And so, yeah, I definitely think that Steam is a mess right now. But it has been for a while, and it's one of the few things online where you can buy games. So they except for GOG and itch.io and a few other places, it's kind of a monopoly on their part. And so there's nothing we can do except be like, cool, thanks, Gabe. Yeah, the video game antitrust of non-material things. Because really, what are we buying? Nothing. We're buying access to a thing they can take away at any point in time. Awesome. Steam, it's the coolest. Yeah, I think Steam it's what it is, it's what we get. It's the same with YouTube. A lot of people are up in arms these days about the economics of YouTube and how companies can go in and be like, hey, we don't want to put an ad on your video because we think what you said is offensive or goes against our brand. Or, hey, YouTube thinks that because you wrote wiener in your title that this is not ad friendly. Or a company can come and be like, this song that plays in the background of this video belongs to us now. And you're like, what? How do I prove that it doesn't? And yeah, there's a ton of things that can go wrong. And at the end of the day, no matter how many videos you make or how many complaints and tweets you have, at the end of the day, you still work on YouTube. And it's their platform. And you have to deal, full circle. You have to full circle. Hold on, I'm doing this. Education. You have to work between the lines. Didn't set that up. I feel good about it. Yeah, you have to work with what they give you. And on YouTube, they have rules. And since it's the only platform you're going to be on, unless you go to Twitch, but they have their own rules, there's nowhere else you're going to go to post videos. It doesn't exist right now. I mean, there are places, but not eyes. You can go to a million places, but no one's going to watch you. I've had friends in the past, when YouTube first took off, one of my very good friends and machinimator buddies was like, I don't even need to be here. This place is dumb. I'm going to make my own YouTube with my own ads. I'm going to make a fortune. We were like, good on you, dude. We wish you the best. And a year later, he came back to YouTube. Because that's where the eyes are. And so that's the number one thing to keep in mind is same with Steam. You just got to play with the cards you're dealt from them. So even though it sucks right now, there's nothing you can do. You can complain and keep complaining, but at the end of the day, it's whatever they decide. So welcome to the internet. Anyone else? I saw a few other hands. Yeah, hey. I have experience with that. Yeah, we just got done with our show Good Game. Thank you so much. Look, I won a season 2. The end of this season was so shocking. There's a lot to do. I have a lot in my brain that I want to get out when it comes to the show. But, God, how do I even begin to tell you the world that is writing for anything, especially TV? The process, a lot of people I think assume it's, I wrote a script here, this is what it's going to be. Let's all get together and make the movie or show or whatever I made. In reality, it's I wrote a script, someone else gets that script, someone else changes that script, gives it back to you. You're like, well, this sucks. You change a little bit more. Then they say, well, you have to change this because of X, Y, or Z. Like, we only have so many episodes, and we only have so much time, so you need to get rid of this. Then most of the time it's brought in front of like a group of writers, and they like punch it up and make it a little bit better. And then you get it back, and then a director sees it, and the director's like, well, we can't do this, this, or this. And then at the end of the day, the actors show up and just improv most of it anyway. So it's an interesting experience, but it's definitely one that I would say go in with patience and get ready to have a lot of long nights of like, well, that's not even what I wrote. Like, this isn't even the same character anymore. And everyone being like, yeah, but it's a better character. And you'd be like, no, that's not the case at all. And they'll be like, is it though? And you'd be like, okay, whatever, I give up. And then you'll just go and cry in a corner. Not from experience. I wouldn't do that. But someone would. Yeah, so are you thinking like game stories? Or can I pitch you something? An amazing game story? All right. It's about a water elemental named James. And James is sexy. But cannot be can be gas too. James can turn into a fart, right? There you go. James turns into a fart. And that's how you solve puzzles. By farting on the puzzles. That's a great idea. I'm so glad you thought it up. Yeah, so, all right, what's the backstory? How did this water elemental become Lara Croft? Go. You just Jumanji'd us. All right, Jumanji 3, because there's a new one. So Jumanji 3, The Revengeing, starring water elemental Lara Croft, who was originally played by Jack Black. So there you go. Water elemental, voiced by Jack Black, looks like Lara Croft, farts on blocks to solve puzzles. Jumanji 3. This is now that's how writing works. You just got a real taste of it. Okay, anyone over here doing anything awesome this weekend? What is your objective? Are you here to just play games? Are you here to like check stuff out? Are you here to like flirt with Wade a little bit? What's going on? Yeah.
So I am here actually to play games, but I also like run a gaming podcast.
Okay.
Around here, so it's kind of like, not just playing the games, but like playing them for a purpose to talk about on the cast.
I make that excuse too. Yeah, it's for my job. I got to play all these games. I can't leave. I can't do anything tonight, guys. I got work to do. So, all right, what's your podcast about?
It's mainly like we just take a weekly look kind of at games we've been playing and like big gaming news that we think is worthy to talk about. And we occasionally pepper in like movie reviews and stuff.
What's the biggest gaming news right now? Right this moment.
I had a rough morning.
That's some hard-hitting gaming news. Dear Kotaku, had a rough morning. All right. Well, I think my best bit of like knowledge for you in the podcasting world is to simply say, keep doing it consistently and over and over and over again. And even if your podcast is like garbage, which I'm not saying it is, because I'm on one of those, people will keep watching. Eventually you'll get more and more people watch. It's all about consistency. The more you do it, same thing with everything, right? The more you do it, the more you keep at it, people will eventually tune in because it'll just be in their face enough. They'll be like, fine, what? That is how I've done every show. That is how I've gotten every date. That is how I do everything in my life, is just keep at it. It's like, fine, God! And then you're like, all right, it's working out. Same thing with if you wanted to stream videos on Twitch. Set times where you do it all the time. If you want to do videos on YouTube, keep doing it over and over and over again. Being jobless turned out to be one of the greatest things for my YouTube career because I had nothing else to do. And so when you have nothing else to do, you literally just keep finding videos to make, and you are like, okay, well, now I have 2 a day or 3 a day or whatever, and you just keep making videos, and then you have consistency. Boy, have I sucked at it since then. But with that said, same thing for a podcast, same thing for learning skills, right? Just sticking with finding new stuff. Same with water elementals. Keep creating new ones until you find the one that actually looks like a water elemental. And just constantly working at it. And eventually, no matter what, you'll see some payoff. And if you don't, keep going, because you aren't there yet. I saw there was a question in the back, right there. I am reading your mind. I see sexy water elemental. That's the theme of this, and I should just name this Sexy Water Elemental with Jesse Cox. Yeah, what's up?
I don't know, are we still asking why people are here?
Yeah, why are you here?
Thinking about talking at video game conferences.
Okay.
I know nothing about it, so here I am listening to you.
God, you came to the wrong one. I'm so sorry. Yeah, at the very beginning, like, well, I've made a mistake. I mean, if this is something that you want to do, I guess the whole thing is to figure out what you would say to people who would come to watch, right? So what would the message of your talk be? What would you want to tell people?
I feel like I have something. I had a popular game back in the early 2000s, not in the video game world at all anymore, and might have some fun story. I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to see what people actually want to learn.
Fun stories are the best stories. Yeah. If you have those, then you're fine. Yeah, you just have to be like, you have to name it cleverly. Like Super Fun Time Story Hour.
Yeah, it was a pretty failed project, so I was kind of thinking, don't learn from me.
Well, that is, here's all my fun stories I'm going to tell you really quickly, just to inspire. Like I said, you never know where you're going to be. Keep on that crazy road. This is what I will say. The very first time I ever wanted to voice act anything, I auditioned for a video game that was in Seattle, and they literally said you had to be Seattle native to audition because they were looking to do it for cheap, and I just wanted my name in a big game. So I looked up a bunch of information about Seattle, flew to Seattle, stayed at a really crappy hotel, went to the audition. They asked me, like, where are you from? And I just BS'd everything. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm up on the hill. You know, it's over there, and there's actually this restaurant. Like, that's my apartment. They're like, that place is cool. I'm like, yeah, it's so good. Lied through the entire thing. They're like, sure. So you're going to be here for the next few days? And I was like, I can? Yeah, I'll be here. And so I had to go back to my crappy hotel and ask them. There was blood on the stairs in this hotel. And I had to ask them to extend, and they were just like, why? And so I lied and got in the game, and it was a game called This is Vegas, I believe was the name of the game. And this was back when GTA 3 came out. And it was supposed to be like GTA, but in Vegas. So it was going to be crazy. One of the mechanics is you could throw wads of cash, and people would like run out in the street and try to grab it. That's how you could like avoid cops. This was, my brain just died. The company that originally made Mortal Kombat. Midway. This was Midway. And this was about 3 weeks before Midway went under. And that game never existed. So, yeah, but it was a fun experience, and I definitely am glad I was like, screw it. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll figure out a way. And yeah, no. Yeah, I saw a hand. Oh, so 2010 is when I was still a teacher. October 2010 is when we were all scrapped. I went and just started goofing around at home in like Warcraft and stuff and making videos. And I got into sort of a competition with Total Biscuit on who could get the most videos on MMO Champion. But it was for fun. It was we were just sticking around like, oh, this new beta's out and we got to get them footages up on the internet. And 2010 for fun. Maybe late 2010 we were told that you could make money doing it. So we were like, all right, well, we're in. Let's see what happens. 2011, for maybe most of 2011, because I was a teacher, I was perpetually in debt. Because I was a student, I had student loans, so I was perpetually in debt. I had like 5 credit cards all maxed out. I had rent I couldn't pay, so I had to leave. I had to get out of my apartment because I was leaving early. I had to keep paying it till someone else moved in. And then I had like a lot of cool stuff, like a lot of cool nerd stuff, sold it all because I needed the money. And then eventually I was like, fine, I'm just going to move back in with my parents. And so I sold pretty much everything except for my computer and then moved back in with my parents and then started making these videos. And 2011, maybe not until August did I start seeing money, like tangible money. But it was like $150, $200. My parents were like, what are you doing? Maybe you should go be a substitute teacher somewhere. And I was like, I don't want to do that though. Like, boy, I'm out of teaching. Boy, do I not want to go back. Like, when you're a teacher, you have that like, I'm going to change some lives here today. When you're out, you're like, oh God, I'm never going back doing that again. That's the hardest job in the world. You're like the babysitter who always gets yelled at. That's really what it is. And so, 2011, suddenly, out of nowhere, it started to like pick up, and I guess advertisers, I don't know what happened. I wish I knew. But by the end of the year, I was actually making the same amount a month I was teaching. So at that point, my parents were like, all right, we're good. And then by 2012, I was making way more. And it was like, oh, well, this is a giant scam. Because if anyone finds out that, like, you can make money on the internet, it's over. And I've always felt that way. I think because I had the job that I had before and I've had to, like, work real jobs, I'm always convinced YouTube or the internet in general is just going to, like, burst. And so I'm constantly just saving. I'm like, I'm just going to put this away because you never know when this will happen. So far, it hasn't. Fingers crossed, even though everyone's like, it's happening right now. My video that usually gets 12 billion views only got 1 billion view and my world's over. There's a lot of that. But I think I see a little past that. And yeah, because it took a while. It took a long while for it to actually be a thing that happened. But once it did, it was like, it snowballed. It was crazy. Sure, but have time for yourself. Have time for your life, right? Like, one of the biggest things I see is a lot of people, YouTube or otherwise, spend so much time playing games that they don't make time for themselves, especially on the internet. On the internet, there's the idea that, how the best to describe this? People, the stress that comes with creating stuff on the internet is very high. Creating anything on the internet is very high. And it's not, I know people will be like, yeah, you like play games for a living. Like, that can't be that stressful. That's not the stressful part. That's the kind of fun part. The stressful part is the minute you're like, here, world, take a look at what I did. And then you just get crapped on. It is one of those things where I've come to rationalize over the years that the way it works is very simple. It's, if you create something, like imagine, just looking at the room right now, imagine someone created a game about a water elemental named James. And you put that game out there, right? And everyone in this room commented on that game. Now, over here, if let's say this row right here hated your game. They're like, that water elemental doesn't even look like a water elemental. Looks like a poop elemental. You suck. To you, that is 5 people crapping on you. But to each of you, that is just one message you've sent, right? And you just like sent it off on an email or posted it. But it's like a little thing you just shout out to the ether. But you see that. And now it's not just the one person who said it, it's the 5 people or this entire section. And it just sort of builds up and accumulates against you. And sometimes you have to realize that, like, in that person's mind, they aren't actively trying to, like, be really mean and really bitter. That's just an opinion they have that they've thrown out onto the internet. And I don't think they intentionally want to hurt, but sometimes it comes off that way when it's now 5, 9, 12, 15. It just sort of builds up. And you're like, boy, do I suck at everything. Meanwhile, the people who love you, this side, you're the in love side, they're playing the game and having a good time, so they don't have time to contact you and be like, I loved it. They might show up at a panel you do or something and be like, that was so much fun, thank you so much. But at the time of launch, they won't say anything to you. They'll be playing. They'll be having a great time. And so I think people forget that, and people get caught up in the drama of just like, everyone hates me. So you have to step back and take a moment and really get like, okay, this is the internet. I don't know these people. I have no idea who this person is. They just said I'm a poop head, so maybe they're 12. I don't know. Maybe they're young. Maybe you don't know who's writing to you, so you can't get too worked up over it. Although sometimes they hit a nerve, and you're like, what? And then you just turn it on, you go crazy on the internet, and people are like, internet personality Jesse Cox went crazy today. Like, cool, thanks, Keemstar. So yeah, I mean, hopefully whatever tangent I just went on helped in any way to understand. Yeah, so anything else that I can help guide with? Yeah, hey.
I'm a history major right now at OSU and really looking into going into archiving. And so one of the things that I want to like see and think about here is new media archiving. I was talking to like my supervisor about it. It's like such the wild west of how archiving happens that no one knows how to archive like games and game development, the development process, and each stage of the game, and like Twitter and things like that. So interested sort of looking at how they're developed.
Well, like, do you want to? So you're going for history stuff, yes? Do you want to create something that someone could look at in the future and sort of look back on? Or is this like, I guess what I'm asking, is it something that you want to be a resource for people to like go through, or is it something that you just want to have exist?
No, yeah, it's sort of how to create a resource where someone can say, okay, how do I look at this game, but at this stage of development, compare it to
Oh, okay. I would love, real talk, I would love for something like that to exist. I don't know how you're going to do it. Good luck. But I'd love for something like that to exist because I think one of the craziest things in the world is to see the process of developing games and to see where games start from, to see where games end up at, and to see the process along the way. And I think it opens a lot of eyes and it creates sort of a I don't know, it like, are you waving to me? Hi, Emily. How you doing? Yeah, that's cool, that's cool. Not. Can they hear me out there? Hello. Everyone in the hall. Emily wants food. Give her food. What kind of food? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. You're getting some. There's a weird fall. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this, but I'll just give you an anecdote. So if you remember, several months ago, earlier this year at some point, a company released a video of like the eye tracking or like so if your character is here and what you're looking at, and as you move, it shows the world. But then they showed the background, how it all like deconstructs behind them. And the internet lost its mind for some reason. And I could not figure out why, because like that's how games work though. I mean, I guess people assume that because I'm looking forward, it doesn't mean that the things behind me aren't there anymore. I guess that's sort of like the baby, right? Like if I'm looking at you, then you're real. But if I close my eyes, you're not there anymore. And I think people assume that games were a little more advanced, but that's not the case. And so people went crazy. I cannot tell you why people were freaking out about this. I do not know. I do not claim to know. But I think it's fascinating that when they found that information out, that they're like, games just lie to you. They're just lying to you. And I think the idea of having an archive somewhere where people could be like, this is how stuff actually works, and this is how they created this, and this is how they got from point A to point B, and this is the changes they've had to make. I think it'd be really, really interesting to have a place where, if you remember, Witcher 3, even though it's one of my favorite games ever, when it first came out, looked gorgeous, was phenomenal. And then when it released, or when they first showed the trailers, it was beautiful. When it released, it looked a little bit different, like a little dulled down. People were like, liars, you lied to us. And they were like, well, we had to make some changes in order for people to run this game. And I don't remember if anyone ever played Witcher 2, but when that game came out, it broke computers. It could not. I had to buy a new computer because it destroyed my graphics card. And so I think they took that moment and were like, maybe we should make this accessible to everyone. And I think having that information, having a website or an archive where it's like, yeah, no, this happened. Here's the reasons why. I think what Danny O'Dwyer is doing is great with his documentary series. I love the idea of looking at gaming companies. I mean, like, why'd you make the weird decisions you made? There's obviously a reason. And sometimes the reason makes perfect sense, and sometimes it's nonsense. But it's one of those things I think is needed, and I think that if you did something like that, that'd be awesome. I don't know how you would do that. I don't presume to even know where to start. But what I would say is that you've made the first steps just showing up to an event like this. So keep at it, right? And I think your first entry should be where the water elemental game started from. Yeah. Okay. We're on the same page. Yeah.
For a teeny tiny suggestion real quick on how that can be accomplished.
Sure.
I don't want to forget it. What if you like made a website where companies could register that they're working on a game, and they go each step-by-step process and list out what they're doing, and list when they change stuff so that it can be seen what they're doing and why they're doing it. Yeah.
That is true. That is trade secrets. But when it's released, then you can like, or might I suggest, finding someone who used to work on game and asking them what that process was like, and maybe stuff that's a little bit older that isn't currently a trade secret. Like, we don't want to share the Frostbite engine or whatever the hell, but things that have been out for a while, and going back and sort of like talking to those people, and that's a good place to start. Because I think technology changes so fast that the other day I had the epiphany that a lot of the games that I consider really old are like from like 2004. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And so if you go back and look at those compared to now, I feel like if you start someplace there, like a little older, I think you get a lot of information. See, connections, hooking people up. Next thing you know, next year, you'll be like, here's the game we developed. It's premiering on this website. That's the history of video games. If it doesn't happen, I'd be real disappointed in you all. I'm going to let you know right now. So yeah, I think it goes without saying that no matter where you're at or what you're doing, at the end of the day, if you have a passion and drive to achieve it, then it's going to happen. It will happen. You may be broke as hell by the time it does, but it will happen. You just have to keep at it. And I think a lot of people get caught up in the idea that like, oh, well, in order to achieve my dream, I need to be like, I'm not saying successful at it, but like filthy rich at it, right? Like there's different levels of success. And I think that a lot of people miss out on the fact that, you know, creating a podcast, for example, like, right? Creating a podcast is a fun thing to do. And it's you and your friends getting together and just talking and having a good time. And I think that in itself is the like successful bit of it. If you can create something, put it on the internet and let people listen to it, you've already done the work. At that point, it's not about what they think. It's about just like getting back together and keep doing it. I think a lot of people get caught up in how other people view them or how other people see their creations or their achievements. And I think it's a much better philosophy to just focus on yourself and focus on what you can do and what you're going to try and create and achieve and what your goals are, rather than like, well, this other guy, he's just way better than me at it. And I live in that reality every day. I remember when years ago, so my friend Gerard and I, the completionist, he came over to my house once. I'll never forget this as long as I live. We were like, who is this guy? This video popped up on our feed. I'm like, who is this dude? And we watched it. And the first words we said was, oh my God, he's like the American PewDiePie. His name was Mark. He, great guy, but I remember when he had like 2,000 subs. Dude exploded. And so you sit and like watch him just zoom past you on the line of like, he's much better at this than I am. Yeah, and you just have to accept that that happens. And you just keep doing your thing. And you keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And no matter what, eventually, you'll find some sort of like peace with it. You're like, you know what? I've managed to do some cool stuff today. Or, I created something awesome. And it might not be the next #1 best-selling game, but people bought it and people loved it. And that's really what matters at the end of the day. And so you just got to find that like cool vibe in yourself. And when you find that, you're going to be totally cool and be happy. And you'll say to yourself one day, Jesse Cox really taught me some things about my life. I should definitely send him a check. Now that my game is a huge success or whatever. No, but for real, that'd be awesome if you did. I would love that. They keep telling me that we're running out of time. So I will simply say there's a panel here next. That's all of us YouTubers that are here. I don't know what that's going to be about because I ain't running it. But I will be on there, and I figure you should definitely stick around for that because it'll probably be awesome. Probably. But, yeah, so thank you so much for coming and letting me talk at you guys for a little bit. I like looking at all your shirts. They're great. Diva shirt. I see the chips. I see that secret chip, that Dorito. That is awesome. He's just celebrating his little birthday. Yeah, I'm just going to stay here until they boot me out. Can we talk about coloring books? So, Krendor and I have an idea. About to blow some minds. So Krendor and I have an idea for a book. So we went to this publisher and we were like, we want to do a book. We would love to do a self-help book. And they were like, no, that would be a terrible, terrible idea. And we were like, all right, well, what other book can we come up with? They're like, well, what's the simplest book you can create? So I went to Dan. I was like, Dan, I want to use you in some way to make a book. I'd love to make a book. And he was like, what if we made a children's book? I was like, what kind of children's book could we make? And Dan came up with this really great idea. And then we pitched it to these publishers. And they were like, what if we just made a coloring book instead? We were like, well, that's stupid. So we went back to Dan. I was like, Dan, they want to make a coloring book because they say it doesn't cost much and it'll be easy. But we want to make like a book that's like substantial. And so we came back at them with the greatest idea. Dan's a genius. He's the greatest artist genius there ever was. He's like, what if we made a children's book that you can color that is about Krendor and I going to a picnic. And I love red cherry tomatoes. And Krendor loves green grapes. And a crazy witch flies by and steals all the color. And so now we don't know which is the grapes and which is the tomatoes. We're not going to try them because that'd be weird. And so we have to go on a crazy adventure to get back all the color from this witch. And for some reason, the publishers were like, that's the best idea we've ever heard. We were like, all right. It's a terrible idea. Yeah. The witch, for some reason, we already designed the witch. The witch looks like, it's Dan, so the witch looks like a mouse. I have no idea why the witch looks like a mouse. It's like a mouse witch. And, yeah, we go on little weird adventures in this thing. It's pretty good.
What happened to your Kerber elf idea versus the high elf?
The key, our tween novel?
Yeah.
Our tween novel exists. And one day people will fall in love with all of our characters. The sexy dark elf and the high elf and the girl, the nondescript girl who everyone can be. Yeah, she's not beautiful, but she's not ugly. Yeah. And everyone loves it. Everyone loves her for some reason. Absolutely. That's our it's gonna be a good book.